How many adverts have you seen for AI-powered student apps? From flashcard apps, note-taking apps, timer apps, writing editor apps, tutor app, they are everywhere. And 99% of the time, these are really just ChatGPT wrappers, which means no one's put that much effort into them. They are essentially using code that is already out there that you can use. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you, specifically using Google Gemini, how you can be creating literally any AI-powered study app that you could possibly want. We're going to be going through 3 particular use cases, as well as explaining exactly how to use prompt engineering so that you're actually getting the output that you want. This is going to be a big one, and this is the first in a series that I'm creating that is explaining to students how you can be using AI more effectively, more ethically, and in a way that actually helps you become a better student rather than just being a replacement for doom scrolling. Let's get started. I'm going to try and make this as easy as possible. So of course, the first thing that you're going to want to do is pull up the Gemini interface. Now I'm going to be doing all of this on the 2.5 Flash model, which is the sort of basic model that you can access regardless of the account type that you have. So the first thing that we're going to do, given that we're thinking about gems, is you're going to open up the sidebar over here, and once it loads, here we go, we'll have at the top your gems. Now, these are some gems I've created, but we're going to go on the Explore Gems page, and you're going to see that you have got this gem manager where you've got access to a bunch of pre-made gems that you'll have already made. So for example, like Learning Coach could be quite useful in explaining concepts, planning, whatever. I haven't explored all of these fully. Absolutely go away and explore them. But the thing that we are going to be focusing on is over here, your gems. And we're going to be thinking about how you can create your own gems to basically create any of the AI generated sort of study-based platforms that are available. I should say AI powered rather than AI generated over there, because a lot of the time, so we are using Gemini for this because gems is quite a unique feature, but a lot of the time the AI platforms that you are able to access as a student are essentially just ChatGPT wrappers, which what that actually means is that they've taken a bunch of the open source code or APIs that ChatGPT have available, and they've repackaged that code in an accessible way for you to use for a specific purpose, in this case studying. But that doesn't mean they've actually put that much work in, so you're basically paying for not very much, so you're going to be able to make them yourself. So we're going to click on this new gem, and you're basically going to have the option to create a new gem. Give it a name, give it some instructions. If I move myself, then you can see you can also add files. We're going to be talking about that slightly later on, but then you'll also have a preview over here. Now, in instructions, if you click on this little information thing, you'll see that you're basically putting down your gem's objectives, its capabilities, and the style of response you want. That means you have to understand a little bit about prompt engineering. And instead of me sitting here and explaining what I think is correct, I'm going to go exactly to the LearnLM prompt generation guide that Google have created that says this is exactly how you prompt their AI systems. So this is probably going to be the best thing for you to look at. Now, I want to highlight this bit over here where basically longer prompts are going to be better because you're able to pack more information in there. But the exact information you actually put in the prompt is obviously going to have an influence over its success. So they very helpfully created a little acronym because every student loves an acronym. So we've got the parts framework, which is essentially breaking down everything that you should be putting into a prompt, giving it a persona, telling it what it should be doing, saying who it is for, giving it a bit of a theme, and also saying the structure of the response that you want. Now, the most important part of this, if you don't take anything else away from this video, then every time you interact with an AI model and you want it to perform a certain task, give it a persona. If you want it to explain a certain concept to you, tell it it is a teacher for the year of school or university that you are in. If you want it to suggest a recipe, tell it that it is a world famous chef who follows a certain diet, whatever sort of thing that you're trying to cook, and they are known for it. You just want to be giving these AI models a personality because you've got to remember that they are trained on internet data. Internet data is based around humans. Humans have personalities. So for a successful prompt, the AI needs to take on one of these personalities as well. And also a lot of people miss out this recipient part of things. They don't say what the prompt is for, who the recipient of that prompt is. Because let's say I'm asking it to explain to me, I don't know, magnetic forces. The way in which that AI model is going to explain magnetic forces to a primary school student is going to be immensely different to how it would explain magnetic forces to a second year undergraduate. You see why you need to be putting in the recipient in there. So I would definitely have a look. If you search Google Learn LM prompt guide, because that's what this was originally created, but now Learn LM, here we go. Learn LM has basically been incorporated into Gemini. So if you search that, you'll be able to find this document. You can read through the whole thing yourself. and it's basically an A to Z of how to make the perfect prompt. So going back to our gem over here, we now know how to craft instructions that are going to be super effective. For the rest of this video, I'm going to be focusing in on 3 use cases that I think are going to be super useful for you as a student. The use case that we're going to look at is using gems to create your own little personal AI tutor that is specific to the exact course that you are going to be learning, and that actually tutors you rather than just giving you answers, because that is just not helpful and it's not helping you learn. You want essentially what a tutor would give you. So I'm going to give it a name, and it's going to be our AI tutor. And if you think whatever course you're doing, then you're going to make these instructions specific for that. For the purpose of this, I'm going to pretend that this is going to be for my microeconomics course. So do you remember everything that we basically covered over here in terms of what makes an effective prompt? If you just write out the letters, then it is going to be so much more useful for you, but you don't necessarily have to do that. The most important thing, as I said, is to remember the persona. So if we give it a bit of a persona, something like, you are a tutor for 2nd year undergraduates, because that's what I'm going to be next year, at, and then my university. That is not my university, I can't even spell my university. And then state exactly what the course is that you want this tutor to be helping you with. So for me, that is going to be the microeconomics course. And then what is really crucial is you explain a little bit about what that course is. So let's say you'd put down A-level biology, or you'd put down 1st year undergraduate electromagnetism. Then you just need to explain a little bit about what is included in that course to make sure, because obviously it's going to be different every single institution. Now, this is where, if you have got a specification, as you will have for GCSEs or A-levels, or if you've got a course outline, as you might have for university, then over here in this knowledge section, you're going to be able to upload a file. So you could literally upload the specification or the course outline so that it knows exactly what is included within this course. I think that is an immensely valuable tool to be able to do. And then in your instructions, you're just going to reference the full scope of the course is included in the file which has been attached. If you're attaching multiple files, then also state the name of the file so it knows which one it's looking at. It is smart enough to figure that out on its own, but it's better that you just don't leave anything up to chance. So, as I say, you want to put a little bit of an overview. Even if you are uploading it, just instead of an overview, you're going to say the overview has been attached in the file, and then state the file name. So for me, from this microeconomics course, it is a comprehensive overview of fundamental microeconomics at the university level, with more focus on practical application than mathematics. Okay, so that is step 1. We've given it a persona, and we've also in this talked a bit about the theme. So other things that were important, we need to state exactly what it should be doing. So you are to act as a tutor and help me achieve top grades in my final exam. Now here, you need to be very specific about what that grade is that you want, because for some people, and then it's looking for an improvement that takes you, for example, at university from a 2-2 to a 2-1. For some people, they want to be getting that first, you want to be getting an A star, a 9, whatever it might be, then just make clear exactly what your target is going to be. So I am aiming for a first in the exam. Now, what I think is really important when you're building a tutor is they should be acting like a tutor. They shouldn't just be telling you answers. So the way that you're going to go about doing this is stating that exactly. You should never just give the answer. Instead, you should be applying a Socratic teaching method. Now, what this means is that instead of getting you to just instead of giving you a question and being like, give me the answer, it's going to guide you through each step, but it's going to force you to work from what you originally know to the final answer by yourself. It's not going to give you any of the interim answers, but it's going to take you on that journey and force you to actually come up to that answer on your own, because the benefit of that is that then in the future, it's going to be much easier for you to actually remember how you got to that answer. You're going to be able to replicate it, and you're going to actually understand everything a lot more comprehensively. So you should be applying a Socratic teaching method. And also, whenever I ask about a concept, you should check my initial understanding to know how much depth. I really can't type today. You should be covering content in. I'll be providing this prompt as well as the ones I use for the other ones in the caption of this video. If you want to skip forward a little bit and see the result, then you know that you're just doing this for your own subject. But what I will say before you do that, it's really important as well that you state how you want the output to look. So do you want, for example, an overview? Do you want questions? Do you want multiple choice questions? Do you want it to give you diagrams, generate videos if needed, because it has the capability to do that? These are all things that can sort of enhance its ability to tutor you. You can see that I have just amended it ever so slightly, just to make sure that everything's all in paragraphs rather than in bullet points. This is quite a short instruction list. You can have a much longer one if you do want, but even as basic as this, you're going to start getting exactly what you want out of this model. Like I say, it'll be a lot more tailored if you then upload any course outlines or specifications that you do have into the knowledge section here. Now, what you can do before you save your gem is preview it, just to make sure that it's actually doing what you want it to do. So I always recommend previewing before you save, so that then you can alter the instructions. But once it is saved, you can still go back and alter the instructions if you want. But remember, I've just done this for microeconomics, so I'm going to talk me through the budget constraint. This is one of the very first things that you learn in a university economics course. So I'm hoping that it's going to take me through a step-by-step process. So here we go. It's given me a very brief overview. How would you initially describe or define the budget constraint in your own words? So you can see that it is testing me right from the get-go, making sure I understand something. So I provided an answer. It's not a perfect answer. It told me that I hit on some key elements, but then it also, here we go, asks me to refine it. It goes, okay, this is a good start, but that's not going to get you top marks. You need to be refining this. You need to be fully understanding the concept. So it's prompted me to do it with the graphical representation. What does it show? What actually is it? And if we're thinking about the instructions that we gave, as I'm giving more and more answers, I'm going to continually get tested. It might generate some images if needed, some diagrams. It's an AI tutor, and you've just created it, and you didn't have to spend a penny. This case that we are going to go for is super important, particularly for university students, but I also think for GCSE and A-level students as well, if you have documents, textbooks to read, books that you want to get through. And that is using a gem to create basically a smart document analyzer, where it's not just providing you with a summary, but it's actually forcing you to critically engage with the document. So you need to read the document, but this is going to help you make sure that you actually understand it, because I think that is really where the key use of AI comes in over here. So we're going to call it Document Buddy. And because last time I spent a lot of time showing you how to do the prompt, I'd pre-written this prompt and we're going to paste it into the instructions over here. Now, I hope that having done this, you can see what's wrong. I'll give you like 3 seconds. I've not given it a persona. So that is the first thing that you should always be doing when you are writing these prompts, because it is fundamental to making sure that it is going to do what you want it to do and do it to a high quality. So we're going to say, you are an efficient and effective research assistant. Even a persona as simple as that is genuinely going to make a difference to the performance of this prompt. So essentially what we're getting it to do is, when you open the file, they're going to perform these steps in order. This is crucial. And you can be really specific when you're making these instructions. That's so fine. So it's going to summarize the document. It's going to extract the keywords and technical terms, and it's going to provide definitions. It's going to generate some multiple choice questions, including the correct answer. That's always really important. And generate 3 open-ended discussion questions. Now, these are great for you to just sit back and use the finding technique afterwards to just talk through yourself and make sure that you really understand the concepts that were in this document. And then obviously ask the user if you have any other specific information, because sometimes you might be uploading something and you might just think, okay, I really need you to generate a diagram because I do not understand the process from words, and that's incorporating this level of flexibility. Now, it is really important that you do not upload it to the knowledge, because you want to be able to upload new files all the time. You don't want it to be like a static file within the knowledge. That's not the way that we're trying to make this work. We want you to be uploading them in chat. So we're going to go to this preview over here, and it's over here that we are going to upload the file that we want. So we're going to be using, for me personally, this is some pre-reading that I have been doing, and we're going to let that upload. And then we're going to say, be a research assistant for this document. And what we should get are these steps that we put in the instructions performed one by one. So it's going to upload this document, and it is hopefully, there we go. You'll see that whenever you're using a custom gem, it'll basically say that right in the header, which is really useful. So there we go. It's confirmed that it has read the file. Excellent. Concise summary of the document in 5 bullet points. And one of the best things I find are these links. So do you know sometimes you upload something and you feel like, where did you get that from? It'll actually link to the part of the document that that information is coming from, that it is relevant to, and I think that is really useful, particularly if you're reading through and you're thinking, I don't quite get the way in which the model has explained this. You can actually go back to the document itself and make sure that you understand it in context. So we've got those 5 bullet points. We've got 10 most important keywords. Look at this. Absolutely perfect. And then we've got 5 multiple choice questions. Now, I think looking at this, I want to refine my instructions, because I don't want the correct answer after every multiple choice. I want all of the multiple choices, and then I want all the correct answers. So that is a way that you could be refining these instructions. That's why it's so important to trial the gem in this little like preview window over here. And then, oh, very good. We even have some of the equations. And then we've got these open-ended questions, and it asks us any other specific information. Sorted. And the third use case that we're going to think about is creating a writing editor, not a writing generator. I will say, do not trust AI to generate your writing for you. No matter how good the model is, not only is it depriving you of the actual learning process, but it's also not going to be in your own style of writing. It's not going to feel sort of authentic to you, and that does come across particularly. It's just not going to be very natural to you. So this is an editor, not a writer. So we're going to put in a writing editor as our little title, and we're going to think about the instructions. So the first thing that we're going to do, as ever, is we are going to give it a bit of a persona, pre-written this, and we're saying it is an academic editor, experience level editing university level essays. Obviously that is personal to me. You might be putting it at A-level, you might be putting it at GCSEs, you might be putting it postgraduate, whatever it might be. And then we're also giving it a bit of a theme and talking about the structure of the response. We want constructive, clear, and focus on improving the argument and the prose. So this can be really interesting for particularly if you don't get sort of the experience of supervisions or tutorials in Oxford, supervisions in Cambridge, where you're actually actively discussing your essay with other people. This can basically replace that by allowing you to discuss your essay, get critical feedback on your essay, if you do not have access to anyone else to do that with. So I find it really important for that. Then obviously, because we are telling it that it is going to be editing and that it is going to be sort of reviewing, we need to be giving it some criteria upon which to do that. So the 5 criteria that we're going to be thinking about: clarity and argument flow, conciseness, academic tone, word choice, and grammar and syntax. Some of the most fundamental things, right? Then we also need to be thinking about the structure of the response. So I don't want it to directly edit my text. I want the response to be structured by basically just saying these are all the edits that I would make. And crucially, explaining why they would improve. Improve, not improve. There we go, improve the text. So the way that you're going to be able to do this is you'll be able to paste your writing over here, and we'll preview it before we actually get into it. So let me pull up an essay that I've written. So I've pasted my essay, and hopefully I'm going to be able to get some feedback from it. And we should get analysis on each of these 5 points. Again, you can see it's saying that this is the custom gem that it's using, so you know it's working. And here we go. So we're getting some general feedback, and then, as I say, we're getting the specific edits. And helpfully, it's actually going to be organizing all of those edits within those 5 criteria that we have listed. And you can see there are a lot of edits. Now, one thing I will say is when you're doing something like this is don't take every single edit to heart, because sometimes For example, I'm not going to be changing "this essay shall begin by explaining" to "this essay will first delineate." That's not my style of writing. So what you can do over time is you're going to be able to refine these instructions. It's sort of personal preference, so I would say that this is the perfect opportunity for you to be refining these instructions, but as you can see, it's given me a lot of edits and it's explained them all perfectly. So in just a few minutes, we built a personal tutor, a smart document analyzer, and a writing editor, all completely for free using Gemini Gems. That is why I wanted to make this video, to show you that actually you can be making these things super easily. They are so useful, and I really hope that you're going to be able to take away from this the fact that no matter what platforms you're seeing online, you are going to be able to recreate them yourselves for free using readily accessible applications. I really hope this has helped. Stick around because this is the first video in a series that I'm making showing students how they can be using AI more effectively and more ethically. The next video that I'm going to be looking at is comparing ChatGPT to Google Gemini. We're going to be thinking about what the different features are that they have, as well as how they work differently, how they work the same, and why you might want to be using both. Try building your own gem and share what you create in the comments. As ever, I'll see you in the next video.